Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
From a rookie at the start of the season, Gabriel Salomon has established himself as the man to beat in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup with a 100% winning record in this series. Tonight we head to one of the most daunting circuits on the planet. We head to Australia, we head to Bathurst for round 3 of the season. And all the action is covered on Apex Racing TV by myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside Aaron Smith, with Joshua Wilkie bringing you this stream on our YouTube channel. Aaron, it has been a terrific season for Gabriel so far this season. Every single one of his race wins have been well earned. He's got a lead in the championship. What do you think his chances are keeping that up for this very challenging Bathurst circuit?
Is one of the most difficult tracks on the planet, as you very kindly just said. And I mean, then again, we were just at the Northlife last week and Gabriel made it look like a piece of cake. He didn't really make any mistakes, didn't fumble under pressure. From a rookie as well, he's performed way above expectations so far this season, and I really can't wait to see what him and maybe some other drivers can do over the rest of this season. I mean, Porsche Cups, as we've said before, it's such an amazing series to watch. Such close racing and usually fair as well. Sometimes can end in disaster, especially at tracks like this. But either way, it's going to be an exciting race. And Solomon, I expect to be up there at the top, but I don't know how long he can keep up the consistency. Probably doesn't have the experience either, but hey, he could completely prove me wrong, as he has done every single time we've seen him on track.
Yeah, it has been very impressive. Let's have a look at those championship points, because at the top of the championship is Salomon at the moment, with 260 points ahead of Nolder, who's had some good results, and then a bit more of a gap back to Goddestad. Moldovan's just been consistent, so too Higgins, Meyer as well. A lot of drivers who have had issues so far. Bernardo Farrow, watch out for him to gain a fair few more points. James Bumi there should be much higher than 14th. In the Pro-Am Championship at the moment, we currently have Igor Kos at the top, 21 points clear of Albert Quattrop. This one could go any which way. The Olympus Esports drivers looking good as well in 3rd and 4th. In the AMs, it is currently Gordon Marshall, who's got quite a commanding lead. He's been raking in those strong results, but you can see 2nd place is extremely close. And we might be able to show the teams championship as well. And the teams is extremely close at the moment, with Impulse Racing just ahead of Outson Motorsport Black, 402 points to 399 on that front. And we wait to see, Aaron, how tonight is going to adjust those standings, as we're currently in our half-an-hour qualifying session.
I mean, we've seen so far this season that the grid can be very, very mixed up whenever we change rounds. I mean, Watkins, it was kind of mixed at the top, and especially in the midfield. Nürburgring, we had the likes of Nold and Solomon just kind of, walking away with it. But the rest of the grid, again, it was just really, really mixed up. And I think we might see the same thing here today. We're going to see different drivers competing at completely different levels probably. You know, last week they might be battling for P20, today they might be battling for P10. And that's the good thing about these cars, is because it is so close. Like, the gaps are really close. But they can just switch every single week. I say they're close. The man in the lead does have a half a second gap, but apart from that, it is very close. And it's just so much fun. You don't know where anyone's going to be at any point during a race or a qualifying session. And it just makes that little guessing game in your head, like, oh, who's going to be there? You know, it would be almost impossible to bet on this series. Like, we would lose so much money if we had a betting system.
Well, we'd set up the bets. That we set up the betting system, so we'd be raking in the money because people would be putting money on and getting it wrong every single time. At the moment, just the Pro-Ams and the AMs have set their qualifying times. We've now got the Pros out on circuit and they're currently launching on their first lap. Now, of course, we have been bigging up our championship leader Salomon so far. However, new driver to the series. We've got a couple of new drivers, but one of them is Michael Yanni. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Michael Yanni, he is the coach for the Apex Racing Academy in the Porsche Cup. And he's also a PESC driver. I think finished, I want to say P3. He was somewhere between P2 and P5 in the PESC Contender Series. He's very quick. But I think we've seen so far this season, Aaron, that, you know, we've got Faria is a PESC driver as well. He struggled a bit. So I don't think Michael's necessarily going to win tonight, honestly. I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure.
I think you're absolutely right with that. The fact that some of these more well-established drivers who have obviously qualified for PEC or competed in it, PESC, or competed in it before, sometimes they can be a little bit shocked. You know, they come into this thinking, oh yeah, might have like one or two drivers who will fight, but the rest of it should be a whitewash. And then you see the qualifying and practice times, and you're like, oh, okay, never mind. There are drivers who are just, you know, some drivers who just don't really realise their potential and then do series like this. I think it's kind of what I did last year. I kind of didn't realise, I'm tooting my own horn a bit, but you do these series and then you realise, okay, maybe it is worth doing it. And that's what we've seen a couple times this season. Drivers who we don't really see ever have just come into this and set some really impressive lap times and gotten really impressive results, Gabriel being one of them. But of course, we expect to see Yanni right at the top and show some of these drivers up. But that's one thing I've always been curious about. I didn't know that Apex Racing team drivers could actually compete in Apex leagues, because I've never seen one do it until now.
It's pretty much just the Porsche Cup, and Michael is using this as a bit of a prep for the PESC series next year. But he did win this series a couple of seasons ago, season 5 if I recall correctly, as you can see him threading the needle. Not a purple first sector, however. He's about a tenth slower in the first sector. I think he's lacking a bit in the second sector as well. So I don't think this is going to be enough for pole position unless it is a mighty second half to the lap. At the moment, the pros aren't showing a whole lot up at the moment. Nick Madsen and Felix Botts are at the top. I think a few drivers going for double out laps. And so you expect to see the time board really have a shift on this next lap. I seriously doubt Pennington will stay up there. Madsen does improve up into 5th position. He's just nudged himself ahead of Samuel Sproul. But we have got about 20 pro drivers who are yet to put in times. And you can see, even ahead of Yanni, there are still a couple more drivers trying to get some heat in their tires. As Nicholas Nold goes to the top of the standings.
Yeah, I was just going to ask for a second, you know, has Pennington maybe got, you know, some kind of slipstream? Although I don't really think it would gain you half a second round here. That would be a bit ridiculous. But yeah, it just looks like he put in a really good lap time. And some of the drivers, of course, it is a very difficult track, this, and some of them might just be struggling a little bit. This is what Yanni can do on, I believe, his first flying lap as he comes across the line. Where is he going to end up? Or I could be completely wrong. No, 3rd place. That's not too bad. He's only about 2 tenths off Nicholas Nold. And I'd say that's a pretty decent first lap. Yeah,
very strong. Nicholas as well, quite a big member in the Porsche community. So those two guys have dished out a lot of advice for, I think, a lot of these drivers in this series. Two very experienced Porsche Cup drivers. Madsen already on his 3rd lap. We've got a fair few drivers back in the pits at the moment, including Tobias Olsen. I think James Bumy invalidated his lap. Of course, you've got to remember that if you hit the wall like that, it invalidates the lap time, because even a 0x on iRacing will invalidate your lap, and of course it's a 2-minute lap time here as well, so you need to be leaving the pits now at the very latest in order to get round and actually complete a lap, because once those 32 minutes are up, that is it. You cannot start. You cannot finish the lap that you start before the timer. This man's having a good time of it. Lewis Balicki up there in 6th position, and he's trying to find more improvements out on circuit right now.
I honestly think at a track like this, especially a series like this, honestly, I wouldn't really go full push in qualifying unless I'm 100% confident. As we saw with Nick Madsen, it's so easy to just graze the wall and ruin your lap time that could have just improved by 2 or 3 tenths. And I think it's just better to have a decent lap time on the board. And, you know, if you're up there already, bit of a scrape there for Balicki, that might have been a 0x. Yeah, I just think it's a bit better to just set a decent lap time, get up there, maybe into the top 10. And if you've already got a decent lap time, got it knuckled down, then you can go for that push lap that could gain you 2 or 3 tenths and see if you can gain any more positions. As in the race, it's just going to be an absolute slipstream fest, as that is Olsen going 4th, and honestly, he's not really turned up at all this season and has decided to do it now.
Well, his qualifying performance has been really poor, as Tobias. We often see him near the top in practice, as Bumi now goes up to 3rd place. That's more like it from James. But yeah, Tobias often is quick in practice, and then doesn't deliver at all in qualifying, from himself outside the top 15 for qualifying. But that is a very strong time for him. As around the final corner comes Balicki, ATRS Academy there. And he crosses the line now, and I think he was just setting up for another lap. So still some more times to come in. Botta improving recently to 15th place. Nick Madsen, who was up inside the top 5, he's been slowly dropping down the order. I think he's currently on another outlap as well. And yes, we will see if there's any more improvements, as well, Madsen's not even going to be able to complete this last lap because he's got less than 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. I still think it's really, really weird that with the heat format, you can't finish your lap time. I think that is an iRacing problem, if I am correct. I don't know why they don't let you do that, but hey-ho. Yeah, pretty much anyone who's just starting a lap time now won't be able to finish it. So if they're about halfway to about a third through the lap, they can probably finish the one they're on, as Felix Votter comes around the final few corners. Not lighting up the timing screens, but is setting a few greens here and there, so could move up, I'd say maybe a position or 2. Let's see as he comes around the final corner. He's currently 15th. It would be good if he can just get ahead by a little bit. And goes up to 8th place. That was a decent final lap from him. Salomon goes up to 4th place. He's ahead of Yanni as well. That's a decent time from the Dane. But this is what I was talking about. It can just mix up the grid a little bit. Obviously, we've still got Knowles and Salomon still up there, but a couple names that have just bumped their way a couple places than they usually would have been. One of the biggest, of course, being Olsen. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. Higgins with a couple more corners to go. He has got, I think, Wolfson sat behind him, maybe picking up a draft. Farrier moves up into 8th place. Welcome to everyone who is tuning in, by the way, on YouTube. Do let us know your thoughts. As Higgins goes up to 12th position, Wolfson behind him goes up to 10th. We've got 15 more seconds of qualifying to go, but there could still be a few changes. Liam Slip Diffs asking, do we have red flags in this series? No, we don't. No, we don't. Field will be as many as 30 cars for the B final, and they'll do very well to get all through smoothly up the mountain.
I mean, I don't really know how useful red flags would be on iRacing, to be honest. I've never really thought about that, actually. That is quite an interesting question. I think if we had safety cars, I don't think the races are long enough, really, to warrant them, but they could throw a bit of spice into it. But red flags, I think, would just be a bit weird, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be too much purpose. We have had series with safety cars in the past, but this is not one of them. Nick Horn complimenting how strong some of the lap times are. And yes, it will be good ones. And Yui Nika saying that AMS have a hard time making the feature here. That is true. if any AMs can get into the top 12 in this first heat, that would be very impressive. Let's look at the order then. Nicholas Nolder is on pole position. Defending champion Leon Rudinger lines up in second place. Then it's championship leader Gabriel Salomon. Two-time F3 champion Tobias Olsen lines up in fourth. Then it's Votsa, Balicki, Higgins, Hammer. Kaleo is top of the Pro-Ams. Madsen, season 1 champion in 10th. Then it's Godestad, Moat in 12th. Quattrup, Asfargus top of the AMs. Then it's Tim Balicki, Gordon Haug, Ben Pedersen, Gordon Marshall, amateur championship leader, remember, Nikolai Agard, Kim Andre Bjorklund, Simon Moldercleve, Tim Perry, Andres Langberg, Bogdan Moldovan way out of position, Oyvind Breivik, and Luis Rodriguez rounding out the 26 cars.
I think we're going to see a couple drivers really try and gain some places on those first few laps. Of course, you were just saying Moldovan being one of those drivers who's just a little bit further down than he'd like. A couple other Pro-Ams, we've got Pedersen also a bit out of position, so could possibly be quite chaotic on this first lap, but there's only one way to find out.
Let's find out. It's not a long run down into turn 1. Nolder will fancy his chances at least holding on for one corner as round 3 of Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup is underway, and away we go. It's a very even start for everyone in the top 6, frankly, and they're all able to take the racing line heading into the first corner on this Bathurst circuit. It's very wide though for Nolder. He's going to be under big pressure because that was not a good exit, lacking adhesion as he tried to accelerate on the grass, and Rudinger may well get his nose ahead. There's a bit of chaos in the background of Simon Moldercleve having an issue. It looks like Nikolai Agard has also had an issue. Nolder will hold on into turn 1. Rudinger's almost into the wall. He's going to lose several positions. Olsen goes through along with Botza and Balicki, and Rudinger just having a little bit of contact there, and he's down to 6th place.
The outside line through turn 2 is the exact opposite of where you want to be. It's so like the car just will not turn if you go that far out, and Nolder being a bit lucky there to hold on to the lead, but yeah, going up the hill now through this middle part of the lap, there is absolutely zero for taking opportunities here, realistically. Otherwise, you're both probably going to end in the wall. It's very narrow, very high speed, and just look at all of the speed that they carry through here as they head down the hill towards Skyline. It's one of the most impressive venues in all of motorsport. It's such a joy to watch cars fling it down this hill. It is absolutely fantastic as they come to the bottom now. Nold still leading. Got around a 7/10 gap actually behind. He's just started to put the hammer down. But towards the midfield, it's very, very close. We've only had 1 or 2 cars who have just broken away already. As look at the gap Nold already has 6.5 tenths, and we're just coming towards the end of this first lap.
Very impressive stuff there from Nicholas Noll, considering that the mistake he made at turn 1. He'll be making sure he doesn't make that in the A final. If he can finish where he is at the moment, he will be on pole position for the A final. And a reminder, it's the top 12 drivers from this first heat who go straight into the A final. The rest will have to duke it out in the B final. Currently in that 12th place is Scott Mokes. But some drivers who are making charges up the order. Bjorklund up 4 places. Real nice start for Kim Andre Bjorklund, despite some of his teammates having a poor time of it. One of them being Gordon Haug, who I think may have had a spin and is slipping down the order. Haug had a chance at getting through, not anymore, and there he is, recovering at the final corner.
Honestly, at a track like this, even if you do have a bad race, you may as well just keep going, trying to put a nose up there on Brevek into turn 1, and Nold and Solomon have already gone wheel to wheel, as I believe that was down into turn 2. I think Salomon just backed out a little bit. You can see Olsen there trying to slip up. Oh, Salomon's round the outside. This would be a very, very impressive move. It's very bold, but we've seen what the Dane has done so far this season. Still a nose up the inside, and this is kind of where you want to go single file, but he's still trying to pressure Nold, and he did. He's gotten ahead. This is what Salomon is so good at, as Olsen just gives Nold there a little bit of a love tap up the rear. But that is very, very brave from Salomon. He's done that so many times this season, and it seems to work for him. And, well, he's taken the lead, and fair play to the man. He's still impressing us every single race.
Well, he's pulled off some risky manoeuvres at the Nürburgring. That was even more risky. because that could have been disaster for him. It could have been disaster for Nolde. It could have been disaster for everyone behind. Oh, as Olsen's had a huge hit. That
That's a
could
big
be
one.
big damage for Tobias Olsen, who was having a very good run of it, by far his best race of the season. You can see visible damage on that car. Meanwhile, Nolde, who seems much faster on the mountain, is starting to come back again on Salomon. They are neck and neck. Nolde just getting ahead. He could well be completely clear when they go through the right-handed kick, but back comes Salomon once again, and he holds on to this race lead. They will continue duking it out for another 3 laps as we wait to see if Olsen has to come into the pits to get some damage repaired.
He has absolutely no fear, does Salomon. It's actually incredible. He's amazing on the brakes. We've seen that so far. I think Nold said last week when Salomon did that really good overtake that Nold basically broke as late as he could. Just in front of Olsen right now, we've got Rudinger trying to go around the outside of Votter into turn 1. Not the ideal line on the outside. Olsen's damage clearly affecting him as that front right of his Porsche really does look not normal at all. I'm not quite sure what happened. I think he just got on the power way too early and just slammed straight into the wall, but the top 3 really starting to break away now. Vossa has the inside line going to this corner. Rudinger needs to hold it very tight on the outside line and loses out to Olsen. And that's what I'm talking about, that outside line. It's really not worth it. You may as well just back out and try to go for a move later on in the lap.
We saw it was Rudinger who lost out early on, and we've just seen again Madsen making another move at the cutscene. That is it's probably the most opportunistic place to make a move, and Nick, one of the most aggressive drivers on the track, has made 2 moves now at the cutscene and is now ahead of Higgins, so he's up to 7th place now. Currently in 12th place is still Scott Mokes. He is hanging on to that position. He's got a bit of a gap back to Thomas Asphalt, and it looks like 1AM might make it through. What Asphalt really needs is an issue for one of the cars up ahead, which is very likely on this Bathurst circuit, and it's happened to Khalio. It has happened to Khalio. He toes back, he realises he was in a dangerous spot, and that is the Finnish driver who started up in 9th position, who was making his way through, and we can get a replay of what happened.
Yeah, and really good from him that he decided to tow back. Otherwise, that could have been very bad. Let's see what happens coming down the hill. Does he just hit the wall, get on power a bit too early? Yeah, that's just too much speed into there. Loses the rear of the car, and very smart of him to just basically tow as quickly as he can and just move out of everyone's way. But on this lap, it's still as you were pretty much. Salomon's still leading. He managed to defend from Nold coming all the way down into the chase. Shout out to Lewis Balicki as well, who's just about keeping tabs with the leaders. Rudinger now back ahead of Olsen as his damage is definitely affecting his pace somewhat. Olsen's still there. He's still giving him the best fight he can, and Rudinger got pushed off the track. Didn't quite see that one fully, but it kind of just looked like Olsen drove him all the way out to the edge of the track. Not sure if Rudinger has any damage, but the reigning champion not going to be too happy with that move, as Olsen's now lost a position to Madsen as well. Olsen is really starting to struggle, but Madsen is on that cursed outside line, and he's just not able to keep the speed up. And now it's all going to be very close as we head up the hill, as Rudinger trying to put his nose up the inside of Hammer. This is a bit optimistic, but we've seen the likes of Salomon make moves here before, but I don't think it's going to happen this time out, and he's just going to have to go single file and wait about half a lap, just patiently behind all of these drivers that he knows he can overtake and needs to very quickly.
Yeah, really, every lap for Rudinger, he's getting shoved out of the circuit. Twice at turn 2 he was wide, and now at turn 1 as well. Has just been a move, by the way, for Albert Quattrop. He's up to 13th place. Bogdan Moldovan is continuing to make places. Moldovan started in 24th place. He's the only pro driver who is not in the top 12 at the moment. He's up to 16th. He's only a couple of seconds away from the top 12, but he is running out of laps to do it. But there are going to be a lot of changes, I think, from now to the end of the race. One of them could well be Higgins versus Hammer. And this is Higgins, who is in 7th place at the moment. So he's been passed by Madsen earlier on in this race, and now he's going to be overtaken by Hammer, it looks like, as well. But Hammer's going to have to go the long way round. Higgins not quite as aggressive as what Salomon was earlier on. And Higgins makes up a place as Rudinger is off the circuit again.
Yeah, he just broke way too late going into there, and he's going to definitely have a slowdown, and he's going to lose even more places now. It's just getting worse and worse for the German, and he might just be on the brink of the top 12 now, and he's still got a little bit of a gap to Asphalt behind, but he's got to be careful. Any more mistakes and he could really find himself on the edge of the B final at the moment, and we know how quick he is. He just not had the best of luck this race, and I imagine not too happy with Olsen. Still didn't really get a good look at what happened between those two, but it kind of started the downfall properly of Redinja's race.
Yeah, that's now what off he's had, and I think we can get a replay of it. So Redinja initially got the position coming out of the final corner, and Olsen was able to fight back. Oh, well, they're already making contact on the straight. Olsen not leaving a lot of space.
Yeah, I don't know. We've seen Olsen do that a couple of times, especially in F3. He can be very, very aggressive, but yeah, just Redinja probably not very happy with the Swede at all. And maybe some words will be said about that after the race. Maybe a couple of protests will be inbound, but either way, Olsen is up to 5th. He's had a decent race considering his damage, but of course he might lose out if a post-race penalty comes into play. But this battle still going on, and it kind of seems like this season is going to be between these two. They've been the stars of the season so far. Watkins Glen was a bit more difficult to tell because it was just so close and it was a slipstream fest, but the Nordschleife and this track have kind of shown us who is going to be where, mostly in terms of the championship, and it seems like it's going to be between these two. I think Salomon is going to hold the inside and outbreak his opponent. Little bit of argy-bargy, and Nold is off the track. Not sure what will be said about that one, and obviously Nold is going to have to give up that place. Might have gotten a slowdown, but we didn't even realise, Sam, the race has already ended. We've already had our 10 minutes of fun, and Salomon will come across the line to win the first heat and continue his 100% win record so far. And it's just absolutely amazing what he's done. Madsen has a pretty good race from 10th all the way to 4th, 6th, so I apologise there. But Nold, I'm sure, will be kicking himself. But I guess it's just a heat. He's got another race yet to find out if he can beat his rival in the championship so far. But the top 12, really good battles there. And actually, Redinja was really close to Asphalt at the end. I think he made another mistake.
Yeah, he was slipping back, wasn't he? Asphalt did well to hold on to 12th position. He was under a lot of pressure from Quatchup in the closing stages. But an AM driver does get through into the A final, which we weren't sure if that was going to happen at all. But already in the first race, it has occurred. Let's have a look at our Heat 2 grid. And it's a Pro-Am on pole position. Is Luke Pennington. James Bumy in second place. He's looking to get his season on track after a poor first couple of rounds. There's Michael Yanni and Bernardo Faria, two drivers who will be racing against each other in Pesk next season. There's Wolfson, Thompson, Pedrick, Koss, Christiansen, Sproul, Rosseth, Koopmans in 12th. There's Erga, Key, Herford, Pereira, Staropoli in his first race of the season. Young, Palomino, Pedersen, Lazarus, Molliord, Van Pert, Jensen, Horn, and Afonso. Rounding out the 26 cars, as already we are pretty much ready to go racing. Everyone is on the grid. It is Luke Pennington from the pole position, looking for his first ever Apex Racing League overall victory. Away we go. It's a strong start for our pole sitter. It's a strong start as well from Yanni. Might be putting some pressure on Bumy heading into turn 1, but he just has to duck in behind the top 10. All going single file through this first corner, but already there's a crash in the background. That could be big trouble. 2 cars off this track. That is Sproul, and the initial car who went off was Joe Pedrick.
I told you that would happen at some point. Someone just goes way too deep into turn 1 trying to make up places, and now we're on down to turn 2. Fairly single file compared to the first race anyway. Oh, that's a very wide line for Pennington. And not sure if he's going to lose the place there. I think he might. It's an optimistic line around the outside. And yeah, Pennington just about holds on, as I think Buemi just went way too deep. And just unfortunately couldn't really do anything. They're so close. All of them so eager to get past each other. Yanni lost out to Farrier as well. He didn't have the best of starts. But for pretty much the entire top 10, it's been mostly clean. A couple drivers making a few mistakes here and there, but single file at the moment. Couple gaps already spreading out, but these top 7 have been rather clean so far, and let's hope it continues that way.
Yeah, and currently in that 12th place, Thiago Pereira up 4 places. Also, Hereford up 4 places. Key up 4 places as well. They were just sat behind the incident between Pedrick Jensen and Sprout. Looked like Pedrick smashed into the wall on the outside of T1, went back into the circuit, hit Sprout. I'm not sure exactly how Mads Jensen got involved in that. I think he may have actually been serving a qualifying ban, and so started from the back of the field. So that was why he was in 25th position. As we tune in on our leaders, this is Farrier moving his way up through the order. He's already got 1 car, but he cannot make a second. But this is a very racy Bernardo Farrier, which we haven't quite been able to indulge in so far this season.
I think these top 4 are going to be an absolute joy to watch over these next 10 minutes. Excuse the voice crack, but Pennington, a driver who we haven't really seen much of this season. He's got some decent points on the board so far, but this race, he seems to absolutely love Bathurst. He could be a real contender in that A final. Lazarus as well at his home race. I've just absolutely insulted his entire country there, but Lazarus nonetheless has come into the pit lane, and I'm not sure what quite happened there. It seems the bottom 5 have really not had the best of starts, and oh dear, that's very, very big damage for Lazarus, and yeah, I don't think we will be seeing him. That is the most bent I've ever seen a rear end of that Porsche. Not quite sure how the engine is still able to fit in the car, but oh well, he's out of this one, and we probably won't see him pretty much for the end of this. And someone has
Thompson crashed.
Is that Thompson?
And Wilson.
Oh, that could be big.
They're the teammates, aren't they? Oh, that's no. Is that a good rejoin? He's got away with it. What about did Wilson rejoin safely? Well, Alfonso got past. So let's have a look at this one. Thompson and also I heard some tyre squealing, and then we saw them go down the order. Was there an ambitious move? Oh, that's very ambitious. That's, oh man, that's just such low percentages. And the drivers behind it very well to avoid. I think it was maybe Roger Christiansen who nearly committed to the outside, but was just able to duck underneath in time.
That was a bit of an awkward one there. I think Thompson kind of, I don't know. I'd say that's a racing incident, more or less. I think Thompson was going for a bit of an ambitious move, but Jensen kind of cut his line off. So it's a bit of a 50-50 one on that. I'm not sure really who I'd pin the blame on. And Pedersen, they're getting very racy. This is for 14th place. A bit of a big gap already forming between, excuse me, Jesus, between 14th and 13th. But nonetheless, they're going to go wheel to wheel anyway, and Pedersen moves himself up into 4th place. Excuse me, by the way, I have no idea what that noise was. But yeah, it's the top 12, really, really close at the moment. A bit of a gap forming between 4th and 5th. And that's what I was saying. The top 4 are going to be setting the pace right now. Of course, 2 of them will be competing in PES next year, but 2 of them, well, top up the Brits, I guess. Pennington is putting on a really good performance in first right now.
Issues for Nick Horn. He has dropped down the order. Not sure what happened to Horn there. But meanwhile, here comes Buemi on Pennington, who does seem to be the slowest of these top 4, but he absolutely delivered in qualifying. But there goes Farrier, and that is very similar to what Farrier did to Yanni on lap 1, and just taking advantage of the top 2 battling and manages to nip underneath. And once again, and you identified it very early on, that outside line at turn 2 does not work. Farrier now with a good chance at getting his first race win of the season.
Well, it's just because that corner is cambered. You want to be going to the inside as much as you can, because you can just get on the power so early. The tyres are digging into the tarmac, and you just want to be on the inside. The outside doesn't really work in these lower downforce cup cars. I guess if you were in Formula 3 or something, it could work, but yeah, in these cars, you want as much mechanical grip as you can get, and going on that inside is the obvious line, and on the outside you can't put the power down as much. You just lose a bit too much speed, and you know, we've seen that many times today already, as that's Yanni grazing the wall there. If you do look at the side of these Porsche Cup cars, you can see they are getting scuffed. The lovely paint on these cars are getting ruined, as well, that's the tight gaps that these guys want to get to the wall. They're using all of the track that they can, Michael Yanni probably very desperate to get past Buemi as they're just starting to lose out to the guys ahead, but he's being patient. It is just a heat race, remember. He just needs to be a little bit patient. Only 4 minutes to go, so I believe this is going to be the second to last lap once they cross the line. And yes, this is a very optimistic round the outside move around the final corner. Don't see this too often, and didn't think that one would work. Buemi's gained back, and he's now going to have to defend towards the inside. Bit of contact, and I think Buemi just had to back out of that one. Pennington also still not really gaining that much. But anyway, Farrier just about holding on. Buemi thought there was a gap, and Farrier said, no, there's not. And Yanni just having a front row seat of everything that's going on.
Barrier launching again, but he knows how dangerous it is on the outside. He's not going to the outside line. He's just going to stick to the inside all the way. Yanni can just... there's going to be a tap. There was a tap between Pennington and Farrier, but Pennington managed to hold on. Yanni went wide, and Buemi might be back up into second position. Here comes Farrier on the inside. We've seen this spell disaster earlier on, and I think this is going to be Farrier holding on to this position. He's got a better line, but now there's contact, and he's into the wall, and we wait to see how much damage he got on his car. Yanni easily moves up into second place. Luke Pennington is going to win this race, and we just hope that Farrier doesn't have any steering damage, but that was a bad angle to hit the wall.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine mostly to hold on to third place. It's going to be really, really tough for him to do so, but he's still going strong, actually. I think the front on our screens momentarily, his bumper just got torn off, but I think that was just iRacing being iRacing. Very loose there. And it's kind of similar to the damage that Olsen had in the first race, but didn't really seem to affect him that much, going to be honest. And well, he's setting some decent pace at the moment through that middle sector, so I think he'll be able to hold on to third. But I just think they were both trying to go for gaps that didn't really exist. Farrier was trying to close the door. Buemi was trying to stick it around the outside. And yeah, again, I just think that's hard racing that kind of came to an end, unfortunately, between those two. And Yanni gained a place from it, and Pennington just saw it all happening in his rearview mirrors and probably had the biggest smile on his face as he's on his way, hopefully, as he's only got one more lap to go to his first race win of the season, as Yanni could be under real pressure on this final lap, as Key's gone off as well.
That could be a connection thing for Key. He's back. He's in 8th position. He's going to be right. Meanwhile, for the top 12 battle, Staropoli's not too far away on his Apex Racing League debut, currently in 13th place, but he might be about to lose out to Pedersen, and he has now lost out to Pedersen and Thompson, the two of those drivers making their way up through the order after earlier issues. Well, actually, Pedersen started way down the order for Altson, and then Thompson had that incident with one of the other Altson drivers earlier on in the race. They're 13th and 14th. They're not going to make it through at the moment, but ahead of them, the battling is continuing. Herrera up to 10th position. He's just got past Leon Erger, and Eric Christeth has been sat behind Erger this entire race pretty much, but they are doing everything that they need to do, as here comes a slight move, and these guys need to make sure that they don't lose too much time, because they have got the chasing Pedersen charging them down at the moment, and it's about getting into the top 12. Still 1 more second to gain for Pedersen to have a shot.
I just think you're in the top 12. Is there much point really risking it this much for maybe 1 extra point? As that battle for P13 that we were just looking at, it could be, you know, it's Bathurst. One driver could easily just bottle it on this last lap, and well, if we're seeing this for the battle for P10, it could happen. We don't know. So they're just risking it right now, and yeah, they might just be able to get through. The gap is shrinking every single time. Pedersen's getting really close, and that is a driver that's gone off ahead. I'm not sure who that is. They're just ahead of these guys. Oh, it's a lap car. Okay, I was about to have a heart attack. I was just about to have a heart attack, but the race is coming to an end now. They will get the checkered flag once they cross the line, and that gap to the top 2 have absolutely shrunk. Is Yanni going to go for a dive on the last corner, or is Pennington going to take his first Apex victory, I believe, ever? He's a privateer. He's not part of anyone, but he's going to come across the line. Yanni's going to give it everything, but Pennington wins the second heat. Yanni gave it everything. He gained 1.2 seconds on Pennington on that last lap, all the way to the line. And this is for 10th place, as Parrier just holds on, Erger just behind. Brisseth holds on for 12. and Pedersen is going to have to go to the B final and give it absolutely everything, which will be the next race. Oh, again, this league is absolutely exhausting to commentate over, but that gap at the top, I'm not sure what happened to Pennington, but just lost too much time on the final lap.
I think he was being very passive. I'm looking at his sector times. He was just losing a couple of tenths every sector. Maybe sector 5 he lost quite a bit, but I think that's might be the chase. So like he's got the slipstream, can't do much about that. So I think he was playing it cautious, Pennington, and after delivering in qualifying, that's all he needed to do. Thanks to everyone, by the way, for tuning in. Some fantastic viewing figures, over 80 of you watching along. Many thanks, and of course this broadcast is made possible by Apex Racing Academy, the title sponsor for this series, and Apex Racing Academy providing data packs for a variety of cars on iRacing, and that includes single-seaters, these Porsche Cup cars, GT cars, oval cars, rallycross cars, and many, many others. So do check out apexracingac.com, and there's currently a Black Friday sale going on, so you can get yourself a discount. More information on Apex Racing Academy's social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I think that's all. Sproul, meanwhile, has just crossed the line, so we will now be able to go into our B final, and this is where it changes up a bit. We're gonna have a big field, but only the top 6 get through. 28 cars and 6 places are the ones that they are fighting for. Quattrop then on pole position ahead of Pedersen. Then it's confusingly the other Pedersen, or Ben Pedersen as home race, in 3rd position. Then it's Patrick Thompson and Kim Onjo Bjorklund. That top 5 looking very strong. Then it's Palomino, Belicki, Staropoli. Moldovan looked very quick in race 1. Wolfson lines up in 10th place. Then it's Rodriguez, Afonso. Those two started from the back in their respective heats. Maldecleve, Jensen, Perry, Molliord, Marshall, who has made the A final in both races so far this season. Pedrick, Hjorg, Van Put, Langberg, Lazarus, who's had good pace tonight. Agard, Sproul as well has had good pace. Breivik, Horn, Kaleo, who had good pace earlier on, and Aidan Young, one of the most talented young drivers in the series. He's got lots of work to do from 28. Unfortunately, Breivik and Horn have not taken the grid, and so will be starting from the pits for this final race, potentially for them. Here comes the lights then. Quattrop on pole position. He just needs to deliver a top 6 finish to get into the A final. We launch away. It's a strong start for P3, but I think Michael Pedersen just about holding off his namesake. But there goes Ben Pedersen and up into 2nd position, which is helping Quattrop pull away from the rest of the order. A little bit of wheel spin, it looked like, for Luis Rodriguez. He's got a poor exit from that turn 1 as they start the chase for the first time. Contact as well near the back. Samuel Sprout having another poor start. It's been an awful night for the man who qualified up in the top 15 places. Quattrop leading the way. Pedersen still defending against Michael Pedersen. He's gone wide, and now Olympus Esports goes through, and there could be a big incident in the background. Gordon Marshall involved, also Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's a big one. Our first big one of the night, and there's even more. That's another car that's been collected. I'm not sure if there's anyone else behind that could also be collected, but that was about 3 or 4 cars, I think, there, who just... No, one of them went way too deep, I think, into turn 2 and just, looped it round. Unfortunately, that can happen very easily here, especially in these Porsche Cup cars. It's one of the more difficult cars to get the most out of on the entire service as we head down the hill for the first time into Skyline. And Quattrop has had an absolute dream start. 1.2 seconds he leads by from everyone else. As you can see there, Ben Pedersen just struggling a little bit for a rear grip, as Thompson just eyeing up his opportunities, just being a bit safe on this first lap. As this is a bit of a longer race than our heats, I think around 14 minutes. So we will have, I think, 1 or 2 extra laps than we did in our heats, as this is Thompson's patience hopefully paying off. He's going to go to the inside as we head all the way down this back straight, all the way down to the chase, and he should move up into 2nd place, as this is one of the most toughest slipstreaming just sites in the world. It's very, very tough, very tricky braking zone, but seems almost an easy overtake there for Thompson as he moves up into 2nd. Not sure if he's going to be able to do anything about Quattrop ahead, but nonetheless, I don't think he cares. He's up into 2nd and through at the moment into the A final.
Having to go defensive as well was Pedersen defending against Bjorklund. This is very, busy though. Look at this. This is the battle from 8th position down to 14th. And pick this one up. They're separated by about half a second, the 5 of them, and that's a very ambitious move, and that was always going to work out poorly there for Mortimer. But he's got an amazing drive. How did he make it through there? How did he survive 3 wide at turn 1? And now there's more moving across. Afonso being very aggressive at the moment for Olympus Esports. And remember, this outside line into turn 2 does not work well. Mortimer could well be in the best position. There's contact. The altitude esports are going across. There's 3 of them involved. They've all lost a chance at getting into the final. Starpoli, Perry and Pedrick for the 2nd time having a crash.
Yeah, that's the first. Oh dear. Oh no, that's another car that's been involved. That's a really, really bad rejoin. That's Lazarus. He's going to be very, very annoyed. And I'm not sure who that was who rejoined onto the track and just, well, drove into him. That was really, really poor from one of the drivers there, and most likely a penalty. That's a car going off. I think that was Ben Pedersen at his home race. He's got to be very careful down this hill. He kept it on the track, to be fair, and is still in 3rd place. He's going to be holding on for dear life. And of course, you don't score points if you get through into the A final. It's just an extra grid spot for the A final. Of course, at the moment, Quadrup and Thompson will be, I believe, if my notes are correct, starting 25th and 26th. There we go. We will have 30 drivers in the A final. We've got 2 AMs at the moment, 2 Pro-Ams and 2 Pros. Very even Stevens at the moment, as from 6th to 7th. The gap really did increase. Change for the lead here, though, but just for an extra grid spot, and Quadrup doesn't fight that one too hard.
Patrick Thompson looking very pacey. I don't feel like we've seen that much of Thompson so far this season. At least I don't remember too much of him. But he is a new driver to the series, but he's demonstrating his pace right now behind them. The 2 Pedersens at it again. It does feel like only a matter of time there until Michael Pedersen gets past Ben Pedersen. Bjorklund looking really quick tonight. This is really impressive from the Norwegian driver. Looks like he might be only the 2nd AM into the A final, as there goes Michael past Ben, and that is for 3rd position. And I think if he can hold on this next straight, then he should be safe. Now, will Ben go to the outside? We've seen this not work so far tonight. He's staying in the slipstream for now. And I think he is going to go to the outside. And this is going to leave him very vulnerable to the attack from behind. And there goes Bjorklund getting a nose underneath. There'll be side-by-side into the cutscene, but just lifting out of it. And, now it's Bjorklund under pressure from Palomino, who's going the long way round. And they've got Wolfson joining them. Moldovan with a lot of work to do. He's 3 seconds back in 8th place.
I don't really think it was that smart for these guys to stop battling already. I think the initial gap between 6th and 7th a couple laps ago was about 3 seconds, but they've just allowed themselves to battle too much. And like I said before, it's only for an additional grid spot, which I guess it's tough to overtake on this track, but is it worth maybe losing out on the A final? I'm not sure, but yeah, especially these 2 AMs, they need to get to this A final. It's crucial when an AM gets through. It just gives them that little boost that the other AMs usually don't get, as we've seen already. Only 1 AM tonight has gotten through, I believe, into the A final already. There could be 2 more, and that's crucial for their championship, as Wolfson, of course, just wants to get through and increase his chances of fighting for the team's championship, as Utzon have done pretty well so far this season, it has to be said. Everyone else outside the top 11, though, is really, really struggling, and I guess just fighting for extra points at the moment, and that's going to mean a lot to the amateurs especially, but for the pros and pro-ams will just seem like a missed opportunity.
Yes, there's Kaleo having to go the long way round on Samuel Sproul. And Sproul up 7 places. I mean, Young is up 13 places. That is a lot of places gained for him. As Wolfson has got past Palomino. Wolfson is up into 6th position. And that is the final place into the A final. I wonder if it was a mistake from Palomino, because he has dropped a bit off the rear of Bjorklund. And now he's going to have to try to get this one back. And I think we might be able to get a replay of exactly how that pass happened. And also, Belicki just getting past Afonso on 9th position, albeit Afonso fighting back. Here was the overtake.
So I'm guessing it's just going to be a clean move up the inside into turn 1, and Yeah, a little bit of argy-bargy there, but Wolfson gets a good run off the corner, and if he could shut that door, which he can, he's pretty much got the position, as usually on that slipstream run all the way down to turn 2, it can be a bit tricky, especially in higher downforce cars like Formula 3 and above pretty much, or even F4 it can be a bit tricky, as the outside line through turn 2 is viable, but in these cars doesn't really look like it. But honestly, in that move into turn 1, if you get the place, just defend towards the inside and you've pretty much got it. Just make sure you get a good run all the way up to the cutting, and yeah, it's a very, very different racing in these cars, but still very entertaining nonetheless.
Nick Horn letting us know that he missed the B farm by not paying attention. Nick, what are you playing at, man? You gotta be smart. You gotta win this championship by using cunning. You've seen, yeah, you know, classic movies and stuff. Moneyball. You need to be inspired by Brad Pitt and Moneyball, and think about it smart, man. And missing the B final is not smart, so that's why he did not start this race and is down in 27th position. Also, Breivik maybe missed the start as well. Sprout up into 16th position, by the way. He's got past Langberg, albeit it's not going to count for a whole lot. Moldovan losing chances at getting into the A final. You can see the top 6 just ahead. He's only 1.3 seconds away from the top 6. Seems like Bjorklund is starting to struggle a little bit, actually. He's dropped off the back of Ben Pedersen. And will now be under pressure from Palomino, so apologies from Wilson. So Moldovan still with a chance, but he has to clear Palomino very quick. We're going to have 2 side-by-side pieces of action going into turn 2. And very smart there from Wilson to back out that one. Meanwhile, Moldovan is past Palomino. He's got one more place to gain in order to get into the A final.
And this is what I was talking about earlier with those AMs. Oh, who's that? That's Wolfson into the wall. That's Wolfson pretty much out of this one. That's going to be big damage for the Utzon car. And I didn't really mention. I don't know if he just outbroke himself, trying to just maybe scare Bjorklund into something. But yeah, he's rather ruined his race there. He's still just about holding on. And it doesn't look like there's too much damage. But while we go through this middle sector, I guess it's a good time to look at what happened. Aiden Young has also just made a mistake. He's falling down the order. But this is what happened to Wolfson coming up here. Did he just get too late on the brakes? Oh dear. And boshes himself into the wall. I don't think that's too bad damage actually for the Utzon car. I thought he was completely down and out of it, but managed to keep it going. And it's
Palomino.
Still just about in this. Oh, Palomino, yeah, he's made a mistake.
I think he's ditched it at the Forest Elbow, and I wonder if he's had a poor rejoin because Jensen's got involved as well, and they're all smashing into the wall now. On the back straight, that was Muldercleave who was into the wall. Jensen's got damage. I think Palomino's been at the Forest Elbow, rejoined poorly, and taken out Jensen. That's a shame for the Danish driver. They're still going alongside. Balicki involved in this one. He's going to be overtaken by Hawk Balicki with a lot of damage himself. Let's get a replay of this. He was running outside the top 7 already, or top 6 was Palomino already. But this did not help his cause.
Oh, that's just losing the rear completely. Going into one of the most tricky corners and then loses it again. No. It wasn't even a poor rejoin, he just made another mistake. You can't really blame Palomino for that. Well, I mean, you can, but you know what I mean. It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't a poor rejoin. He just made a mistake, and it's not a wide track, and yeah, just really, really unfortunate for him. And obviously, he's got huge amounts of damage, along with a few other drivers as well. These guys weren't really in contention for the top 6, but still would have ruined their chances anyway. As surprisingly, Wolfson is still in this. It doesn't seem like these Porsche Cup cars really like know that they're damaged at all. It's kind of weird. I did say, I think, in the first round that, you know, these cars are built for, you know, wheel to wheel, a bit of argy-bargy every now and then, but some of them have slammed into the wall and they're still fine. Like Farrier, we saw it in the last heat race, and we're seeing it again with Wolfson. I don't get it, but hey, it gives us some good racing all the way to the end, as Wolfson definitely wants to get past Bjorklund at least. These two might have to work together, as they're going to have to punish the AM and move him out of the top 6, but I think we've got 2 laps to go once Thompson crosses the line.
Well, only one?
No, never mind. Never mind, yeah. I can't have.
A 7-lap race, as here comes Maldvin. He has to get past Bjorklund here, otherwise he's going to be done by Wolfson, and Bjorklund's got to weigh up. Is it worth trying to keep a buffer, fight for a buffer and stay in 5th position, or is it worth just letting one go and trying to focus on not losing the other one? Well, one has now gone. Now he's got the draft at least on Maldvin, and that might be his best shot at keeping behind Wilson. Afonso's really catching up to these guys as well. Afonso with good pace near the end of this race, as here comes the dive from Wilson. He's going to get underneath, and he's not going to get a much better exit though. I think Bjorklund's going to have a good shot at holding onto this position, but still just drawing alongside is Wilson. This might be too much for the Norwegian driver to hold on, and Wilson is up into 6th position. Afonso was hoping that that battle would continue a bit longer, but I think it would take a second mistake now from Wilson in order to lose that advancing spot.
Well, let's see what Bjorklund can try and do on this last lap. He's probably going to risk it as he's an AM. Why not? At the moment, there's only one AM in the A final. Can we get another one? So we've just seen the AMs who, I think we had 2, Palomino and Bjorklund, who initially were, I think, 4th and 5th at one point, but just started to battle a bit in the early stages of the race, and it's cost them both dearly as they lost too much time, and yeah, they've both now been overtaken as Bjorklund is losing more and more time. Yeah, unfortunate, I don't think he'll be able to do much unless someone up ahead makes some kind of mistake, but Thompson has had a pretty dominant run in this race. He's been super, super quick. I think he had a decent Nordschleife where he pretty much came from last all the way up to 16th. Of course, last week we had the top 15 going into the final. Since we didn't have a B final, it was just 2 heats and straight into the A final with a top 15 in both heats getting through.
What's up to Thompson?
Oh no.
No, Patrick. Where's Patrick? He's going really slowly.
What have I done?
Has he run out of fuel or something?
I think he just made a mistake.
Has he got enough? He can't jump now. He's got to take these corners. Okay, he might be alright. He's in 4th position.
Yeah,
I think he's going to survive. So Quatchop is going to win this race. Afonso's just got past Bjorklund, but now they've collided. And, well, certainly Thompson's going to be alright now. Bjorklund might still be able to take 7th place. Yeah, so that's made pretty much no change. Afonso's going to have to take back. Quatchop wins ahead of Michael Pedersen. Ben Pedersen in 3rd place. Then it's Thompson, Mordven, and Wolfson. All the pros bar one. It was just Jensen who didn't get through, and only one AM getting through as well from the heats earlier on. And so, well, it was a fairly plain A final lineup that we got, but there were a lot of adventures for us to find it out. Perry is still battling. This is against Van Put. He's not going to find much luck around that part of the circuit. However, Van Put's leaving the door very much open at the final turn, and Perry will have another look, but for Altitude Esports, he's not going to risk it. He's not going to make an enemy, and he'll settle for 15th place.
Yeah, maybe I should just stop talking about drivers doing well, because it's happened, I think, twice tonight. So it's happened in previous weeks. My curse knows no bounds, so I apologise, Thompson. He still made it through. So he had a 4-second lead and made some kind of mistake, and yeah, still got through. But yeah, maybe I should just stop talking about people who are doing well, because, well, that can happen. So yeah, unfortunate he's lost a few grid places for this A final, but either way, he made it through and just has to work a little bit harder. As we've got a 3-minute break to drink some water, catch our breath, I don't know, go eat, go to the toilet, I don't know. I never knew what to do with these 3 minutes when I used to do these leagues, to be honest, but it's just a break, isn't it? So just gives you a chance to catch your breath.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for our viewers to send in any messages, any questions they have about the series, any thoughts that they have, any predictions that they have. Who do you think is going to win the A final? It's also a chance for me to give a shout out to VRS. VRS, one of the partners for this series and for this broadcast. VRS providing hardware with their wheel base, their wheel rim, and their pedals as well, used by some of the best drivers in all of sim racing, not just in iRacing, but also Rennsport and ACC and several other sims. So if you want to get your hands on some of those pedals, do visit vrs.racing, or if you're based in the UK, go to Apex Racing Sim apologies, apexracingsim.com in order to get yourself some products. And if you spend £500 there, then you get 3 months of Apex Racing Academy free. So it's a nice little bonus for you, along with getting some of the best hardware that you can possibly get in sim racing. So do check out VRS for more details on that. And of course, you can also visit the Apex Racing Sim Centre as well in Corby by visiting Apex Racing Sim as well. Let's have a little bit of a look back at the track. We have a nice track map, Aaron. Let's use it.
Yeah, why not? It's one of the best tracks in the world, in my opinion. I think many people would agree. And wow, Sam, what are your thoughts on Mount Panorama? It's to be fair, I've never really seen you do this track much. I don't think you've talked about it. So yeah, go ahead. I know you.
So it's an interesting one, Aaron. I haven't done that many races, but when I have done races here, let's say I've been successful, and that's downplaying it a bit, because a few years ago I took part in a small championship. When I say small, I mean fairly significant. The BSR Radical Winter Series Championship.
Oh god.
And the final round was actually held at this very circuit, and it was there when I was crowned champion over the likes of Nicole Foggy and Pesk's driver Josh Thompson, Kane Halliburton, and several other quality drivers. And despite it being my rookie season, and even though I was an AM driver as well at the time, I managed to beat them all and win what was probably one of the most memorable championship victories we've ever seen on Apex Racing TV. Thank you, Aaron, for letting me have a chance to bring that up.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, man, and I'm really glad that you were so enthused. I mean, I usually hesitate in telling people about the championship, but seeing that you were so eager, I felt I just had to enlighten you and the 80+ viewers as well.
Yeah, I'm slowly regretting my choices now. I'm never talking about Bathurst ever again, or Radicals for that matter. Just whatever you do, don't bring me to Zolder. As I won my first championship there last year. In weird circumstances. We don't talk about it, but I still won. I don't care. I still won.
And I remember it well. Drama. When I saw you binning it into the wall, and then managing to resurrect yourself and going on to win the title. Let's have a look at the grid then for this final race. Is Gabriel Salomon going to make it 6 wins out of 6? He's on pole position alongside the Pro-Am, Luke Pennington. There's Nolder, Yanni in 4th, then it's Balicki, Farrier, Votta, Buemi, Olsen, Christiansen, Madsen, and Koss. Then is Hammer, Koopmans, Higgins, Key, Godestad, Hereford, Mokes, Pereira, Rutinja starting down in 21st place. He's going to be gaining a lot of places. Erger, Asfalg, Rosseth, Quatchup, Michael Pedersen, Ben Pedersen, Thompson, Moldovan, and Wolfson rounding out the 30 cars. It's our biggest field of the day, and undoubtedly our most competitive. I mean, wait to see if Salomon can maybe get away. Will Pennington maybe hold up the rest of the field and allow the Danish driver to take a meteoric lead in the championship race? Here we go then. The 5 lights are on for the final time at Bathurst, and we are launching away. It's not a great start for Pennington. It'll be enough for him to hold on to P2. However, it is Salomon leading us into turn 1 for the first time in this 18 minutes A final. So a little bit wide for him, but he is all okay. Olsen alongside Bremi in the background. Olsen trying to gain a place, and also Norda looking aggressive on Pennington as they start the climb for the first time.
Yeah, this is where we're going to see most of the moves, and that's Pennington nearly forcing Nold onto the grass there. Nold thinks better of it. Yanni just a couple car lengths behind as they all fold into turn 2 now, all keeping it relatively clean. So far, I think one driver there just getting really aggressive into the wall. As the midfield battles are probably the most chaotic here. We've got Mokes trying to go around the outside of Key, I believe, and it seems to have just about worked. Everyone being rather clean in this A final, which usually it's the other way around. It should be the heats are clean and the A final's absolute chaos, but nevertheless, we're not complaining. It's clean racing, and we love to see it. All 30 drivers pretty much at the moment staying close to each other, and Salomon still leading, and that's a bit of an incident there, managing to keep it on the track, and that's Pereira just going a bit slow as we head down the hill for the first time. as Salomon, I think with Pennington in second, is going to abuse this a little bit for about the first few laps.
Yeah, I did think this might happen. It was tricky to judge Pennington's pace, but I don't think he's quite the same pace as Nolda and Yanni, and maybe even Faria as well. And so Nolda has to clear him quick, and I think he will do. Here we ride on board with Michael Yanni. He's been very passive all through this evening. He's not going to force any issues. He wants to keep the respect of plenty of these drivers, being the coach of many of them. So, there's contact,
Oh,
and
no!
third mate contact, and they've almost taken out the race leader as well. Rani will happily move up into second place, but that was a mistake. And Luke Pennington, who has driven phenomenally all night long, has had a huge taste of unluck.
Yeah, that's solely got to be responsible on Nicholas Nold's hands. He has blood covered on his Michelin tyres. That was just, yeah. I mean, he didn't do it on purpose. We all know that, but he wasn't trying to squeeze him. He just tips a wheel onto the grass, I think, and
he was almost
just
not squeezing him enough. He was almost giving him too much space.
Yeah, it was really, really unfortunate. He's got damage, but like we've seen all night, the damage on these Porsche Cup cars seem to maybe make the car better, as this is Faria getting past Belicki for third place.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Faria's in the wall.
Oh, we're seeing so many mistakes coming out in these first few laps of this A final. Even some best drivers, Faria, the likes, another mistake. This is going to be. Oh, did I wonder how did he? I'm confused. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if he towed back, but how did he tow back while still moving? I'm not.
Well, I think. Oh, as Koopmans now is the next one gone. He's got damage, I think. But I think Faria may have just had like a connection outage.
He might have
as he spun. Maybe alt F4'd.
That was the smart thing to do.
We'll need to get a replay, I think, of that, because he initially had an easy move. He was on the racing line. He had the move complete on Belicki, and then just put it into the barrier, nonetheless. And then he made further contact, probably a bit of netcode, and then could have been so much worse for the drivers behind. Did anyone get involved in that? Could have been Felix Votter. May have been unlucky, I think, in all of that. And maybe Koopmans as well. It may have been Koopmans who was involved in that. Faria's actually still running. He didn't tow. Oh, no, I think he is out of the race. Sorry, it's Faria.
Yeah, I don't really know how he did that, to be honest, but this is Voss around the final corner, just the slightest bit of contact, and just got spun round. And sometimes that honestly can just happen in iRacing. The slightest bit of contact can just send you round. But yeah, I think honestly for Faria, I just think maybe got a bit distracted by Belicki behind and tried to go way too deep into the corner, and unfortunately ends up out of this race. And if he did alt F4, that is Buemi, I think, getting really, really edgy on the edge there. I said edge way too much times there. Buemi and Belicki nonetheless going wheel to wheel. Got Noel just a few car lengths ahead. And everyone outside the top three, well, pretty much from third all the way down, has really suffered in these opening laps. Bit of contact there as Olsen's going to try and sneak his way through as Buemi's shoved to the outside. We know how poor that line can be. Noel's still just about holding on, but Yanni is really the only chance of anyone else winning this race. I think there's a couple of connection issues there, but yeah, there's a really, really strange opening few laps. Very chaotic, absolutely no idea. A lot of mistakes. These top drivers really struggling at this Bathurst track, but it just shows that they are human and eventually they will make a mistake. But
there's a phenomenal battle. There's a crash. Asphalt
that's a big one.
And Wilson. There was a huge pack of cars, and I think we may have had a few casualties on the mountain. Erger and Mokes as well, maybe having a separate issue, I think. But that is a mess, and there's going to be a few corpses on the mountain after that, because they were so close to one another. That was the battle for 17th, 18th, and all the way down to about 26th. And here's the replay of it. They were going alongside, I think, through the fast right-left. Here they go.
Oh, no. That's never going to end well. Oh, no. They got there, actually, do you know what? They all got through there a lot better than I thought they would initially.
But I think there was a secondary incident a couple of quarters later.
After that, yeah.
That was maybe the Mooks one.
Yeah, they all just struggled to get through that one. But someone was mentioning about red flags earlier on. Oh, yeah, maybe it's best we don't have them, as you know, it could really bunch up the pack, and we could have the first 3 laps of this race all over again. And that really would throw a spanner in the works. As I think Rosseth, all the way down in 24th place, has made a mistake and is tumbling down the order. But finally, it seems that everything is just starting to calm down a bit. The gaps are just spreading out a bit. Olsen still trying to get past Balicki for 4th place. Olsen is still carrying damage. I think he just bumped into the back of someone earlier on in this race. But we saw in Heat 1, he says absolutely nothing towards the damage and keeps going anyway. As Balicki just getting a little bit wide there. As Yanni actually is closing the gap on Salomon in first. So as the race comes to an end, we could have a battle for the lead, but unfortunately the 5 seconds all the way back to Nold is kind of meaning that we're only going to have 2 cars fighting for it.
Salomon's one of the most aggressive drivers in this race. I think Yanni's probably the most passive, and so I doubt that Yanni's even going to force the issue on Salomon. Honestly, I don't think he's too bothered about the results, and yeah, that's what we've seen so far, at least tonight, from Yanni. 0.4 of a second faster that last tour of the circuit, however. Of course, champion a couple of seasons ago, nearly won earlier on this year as well, nearly won the last championship, but had a poor final race, collided with maybe Nick Madsen, actually, who he collided with in the A final, and that ended his championship hopes. Also, I think got wiped out by, I want to say, Pascal Costa as well. It was an awful final meeting of the season for him, and he lost the season title in the end to Leon Rudinger. But he might be able to get a top 2 result tonight. Gap now down to 0.8 of a second to the race leader. Then we've got a big pack of cars from 3rd down to 13th, and then after that it's all fairly spread out. So yeah, this battle at the front, and then the battle for the top 10 places as the main fight's going on.
I was just wondering to myself, I mean, I'm not the best in these Porsche Cup cars, but I'm just starting to think, where would I be amongst all of these guys? I mean, I've raced against some of these people. I've raced against Olsen, Madsen, of course. I beat in the ARA Prototype Championship just a couple of weeks ago. I managed to somehow finish runner-up in that series. To this day, I still don't know how. But in fact, I'm not complaining. I came 2nd, so fair enough. But yeah, I'd like to think I'd be fighting for a top 10 in this series, but I don't know, it is just really, really competitive, and I think for me to fight for the likes of a podium, I think I'd have to have a bit of luck on my side, or a really, really good dock. I don't know. I don't know how you'd feel about that, Sam, but yeah, this is a really, really competitive series. And speaking of, Christensen and Hammer going wheel to wheel for 9th place, just about getting it through cleanly, and Christensen gets ahead of the German, just about, and up into the top 9. Still a ways off the guys up ahead, but still about halfway through this race. So, oh, that's a bit of a slam into the Wolf of Whammy.
Yeah, that's not good. And by the way, that was actually Christensen losing time, I believe, to Hammer and Co. So he actually lost 1.3 seconds in Sector 2. Did Christensen, so he's just trying to hold on. And actually, I think he lost out to Koss. He lost out to Koss. So Koss top of the Pro-Ams at the moment. And Christensen actually had dropping back. Christensen, by the way, 7.9k for Valkyrie X-Sape. He has been able to pull away slightly though from Hammer, who of course was the Pro-Am champion from last season. Even though he was very impressive in his first season, he was put in Pro-Ams nonetheless because last season was extremely competitive. Not as competitive as this season, but very top-heavy because we had a lot of PESC contenders taking part. And yeah, Hammer managed to win the Pro-Ams. Madsen, meanwhile, I think has got past Bumi. There's some kind of car going slowly. I think that's just Leon Erger letting a few gyros past. But yeah, Madsen, I believe now up into 6th position, if I'm reading that correct.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to Buemi there. We obviously saw the little tap with the wall he had going up the hill, but yeah, just lost a lot of time in those final few sectors. Just not sure, maybe just is lacking the pace or just made a mistake, but now having the best A final is Buemi. He's still up 1 place from where he started, but just starting to slip back a little bit from the likes of Olsen and Balicki. As they battle for, this is pretty much for 3rd place. Look how close Yanni has gotten to Salomon now.
Oh, he's just lost time though. Oh, just as he said that, he lost like half a second.
I'm just should I just like stop talking forever just about drivers and just it seems genuinely every time I talk about someone they just miraculously lose time, and he's touched the ball.
We've been very complimentary about Salomon this whole season, haven't we?
Oh dear.
And the guy hasn't made a mistake. Like, the guy's been absolutely unflappable. So he's immune to it. Gabriel Salomon. And it would be 6 wins out of 6. Nikos Nolda scoring decent points tonight. He was second place in the championship. Those two are going to be even further clear. Luis Belicki, good night for him. He's going to be gaining a fair few points. Nor good night for Moldovan. He barely made it into the A final, and even now he's only down 19th place, up 10 places, but he had a lot of work to do. By the way, Ben Pedersen, he got through from the B final. He's up there in 16th place at the moment, is Pedersen. Amazing job from the Aussie driver. Second place out of the Pro-Ams. What a turnaround in fortunes for him, after looking like he might not even make it through to the B final, but his pace has been very, very good.
I know you said that Yanni is a passive driver, but I don't know. I'm starting to get the feeling that he wants to win this race. Just pushing it quite a lot as we came out of the penultimate corner. And I'm guessing what happened in that middle sector on that last lap was a mistake, because this is Christensen trying to get back past Kos for 8th place, as they've still got around 2 seconds to the cars ahead. Oh, very aggressive, and that's a big crash between Kos and Christensen. He was just trying to cut him off as they went into the braking zone, but I'd say that was more on Christensen than anyone else, as Madsen also gets past Olsen. Nearly going into turn 2. Olsen trying to stick a nose in, but just has to back out of it. Madsen having a good run on this final race. But yeah, I'd say Christian just kind of cut Kos off there, and not really much that the German could have done. And Christian kind of the fault of his own downfall there, as look how close Olsen's trying to get to Madsen. As Rudinger, I don't know if that's an internet problem or he's genuinely out, but he's tumbling down the order, and I think he is genuinely out. He's not coming back.
Luke Pennington, who starts this race up in second place, was in second place at the halfway stage of the first lap, just at the fastest lap of the race, did Luke Pennington. 3/10 per second faster than the leaders. What could have been for Luke if it weren't for that incident on top 4, and you can only hope that he returns to that form for the rest of the season, because he will be a threat not just to the Pro-Am Championship but also for race wins as well, if he can keep this pace up.
To be fair, even in terms of the championship, like, he's not had the best of luck in this last final, but considering the Pro-Ams have not really had the best round to begin with, he's only around 10 places off the lead anyway. And Madsen still trying to defend from Olsen. Olsen still just about hanging on, even with damage, and just starting to drop back a little bit. Thompson moves ahead of Pereira for 16th. As Olsen now under pressure from Buemi into the last corner. Very close. Buemi gets all up on the grass, but nothing doing there, and he just has to sit behind the Swede for another lap or so, as Yanni's still close to Salomon. But yeah, like we've seen before, it's so difficult to overtake Salomon. I don't think anyone has ever actually in this series gotten a successful overtake on the Dane yet. I think Nold might have at the Nordschleife, but Salomon just re-overtook him anyway. But it's going to be a tough one to overtake the Utzen Motorsport driver, as he's been an absolute weapon this round and across this entire season so far. And Yanni's got a tough job on his hands.
Didn't seem very racy into turn 2. He was about a 10th and a half back, but didn't force it. He's got a lap and a half to go. It's a 9-lap race, this. And so he's got one more to go after this. They are 5 seconds ahead of Niklas Norda. Come on, Michael. Go for it, man. I think the problem is Michael does genuinely just want to have a good time in this series and get some practice. I don't think making an enemy in Gabriel Salomon, which frankly is probably going to be a Pesk driver in the future, should he wish to pursue sim racing, and if he wishes to pursue this Porsche Cup further. I'm not sure if he wants to make an enemy. Let's see what he can do here. He's 0.36 of a second behind. He'll start gaining but it would take a dive from this far back in order to go for a move into the chase.
Yeah, you can see him just ducking out of the slipstream there. Not sure if it's a bit of a tactic by Michael. He gets on the brakes fairly early enough and might be saving it for the final lap just to go for a bit of a lunge, which I believe once we exit the final corner, this will be white flag. So Yanni has got a tough job on his hands, and that is Olsen and Buemi both having some kind of incident. Maybe Buemi tried to go for a move and just outbroke himself, and Olsen saw it coming from a mile off. That's going to be my prediction for what happened there. Godestad getting past Buemi as he's just slipping down to 10th place. I did say Buemi was starting to struggle in the later stages of this race. But yep, this is going to be white flag. We've got one more lap to go today. Been a lot calmer than the first 2 rounds we've had, but still as chaotic as normal, as Yanni is closing. Yeah, he's closing in, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. The outside line is not the ideal one, but manages to tuck back in just about. Well, there's only one more real overtaking opportunity here. So sit back for about another 50 seconds. We are going to wait patiently to see what the ART driver can do.
Well, at least he was trying to go for the move there, right? So that's closer than I thought Yanni was going to get. So let's see if he is going to send it. He needs to be about 0.3 of a second behind coming out of Forest Elba, and then I think he's going to have a very good shot at it into the chase. A nice battle, by the way, between, I think we were just watching it to be fair, between Higgins, Godestad, Buemi, Hereford and Key. They're all super close to one another, so watch out for the timing tires to change on that on the last lap. Also, Luis Belicki has been able to close the gap to Nicholas Nolder for 3rd position, but this is the main one, and Yanni is a bit closer than he was on the last lap. He was about 0.4 of a second back coming out of this corner on the last lap. Now he's 0.27. This is a great position, Aaron.
Yeah, this is a fantastic position for the ART driver. And, well, Salomon has been the hardest man in the world to overtake in the last 2 rounds. Is it going to fall over again? Michael Yanni going to go to the outside. He's going to have to be really, really brave on the brakes. But Gabriel seems to be a master on those brakes in this Porsche. And Salomon has the inside. There's nothing that Yanni can do. He gets very slidey coming out of there, and there is nothing that he can do. Gabriel Salomon has been fantastic once again, and he increases. Well, I say increases, you can't really increase from 100%, but nonetheless, he wins the A final, and still 6 out of 6 for the Dane. 100% win rate, and like you said, Sam, a PES driver in the future, 100%, as the top 10 just come across the line. Buemi, after a pretty poor final few laps, finishes in 10th, but Yanni did everything he could. But it's not easy to overtake here at all, and especially if the man in front of you is called Gabriel Salomon, as he's shown time and time again that he is the man to beat this season, and he is going to have a huge lead in the championship. And it's only 3 rounds in. You know, honestly, what can this man do? Oh, it's so amazing to watch a young talent like this come through. And, well, we are definitely watching the beginning of possibly a future world champion.
Yeah, he's remember, he probably won that race as well back in the heats, I think, when he got past Nolder in that very daring overtake. In fact, there were 2 kind of moves that he made in order to get past Nolder. I think one was the overtake and one was a defensive maneuver later on that lap. And that's pretty much where he won the meeting, because then that gave him the race win, or gave him track position in the heat. It gave him the race win in the heat, and it gave him the pole position as well for the A final. And once he was there, no one was going to get past him. Also, Nolder helped out by making contact with Pennington. I think Nolder, despite being 2nd place in the championship, will be getting a sizable penalty for that, because it really did ruin what would have been an amazing day for Luke Pennington, but it was not meant to be. Igor Koss, by the way, won the Pro-Ams in 14th position overall, ahead of Ben Pedersen, who was probably the driver who impressed me most tonight at his home race. Top of the AMs was Thomas Asfag, because he was the only AM in that race, but 21st place, making a nice dent into the championship lead. I think it was Gordon Marshall who was leading in the AMs going into this round. Marshall not scoring many points tonight. Asfag is going to be very close to the championship for Summit. Let's have a look at the final results then. and it is a familiar sight at the top of the standings. Salomon leading the way, 6/10 of a second clear, and then, well, yeah, you can see the rest of the order, and I went through the class winners just a few moments ago. So amazing job from him. And, well, Aaron, I mean, we'll have a chat with a few of our drivers in a second, and everyone should stay tuned for that. But the next round of the championship, we have a week break, but then we're going to head to Road Atlanta. What do you think about that one?
I mean, it's one of the most competitive tracks in the world, especially in sim racing. We've, of course, had the Petit Le Mans about a month ago now, so that might be in some drivers' memories still, but Road Atlanta's a nice short track. It's okay for racing. The first sector, yeah, not great really. It's just kind of difficult to follow, and yeah, basically no overtaking opportunities. But yeah, the long run all the way down to the last chicane is definitely going to be where we're going to see the most moves. But this is what happened with Michael Yanni, and to be fair, Michael Yanni just I don't know what he could have done there, Sam. Really. I don't know what he can do to Salomon. I don't know what anyone can do to get past this man. I really don't. And especially at Road Atlanta, really, if he can just defend the inside line going into that final few corners, it's going to be the same as we've seen this week. It's just going to be the same over again, and he'll probably end up winning the 2 rounds and continuing his 100% win record.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is that they couldn't stay ahead of him either. Like, his qualifying wasn't that strong tonight, Salomon, and yet he was still able to beat them because, yeah, he had a good start. He put the pressure on Nolda. Nolda made a couple of small mistakes, and yeah, once he was ahead, he was going to be very tricky to beat. But I mean, it's just incredible just how competitive every race he's won has been. Like, every race that he's won, if anything, I think that last one was maybe the easiest one, but I think each one of them has only been maybe a 60% chance of winning. Some of them less than a 50% chance, but he just keeps on rattling them off. And so to have that consistency is incredible. If he'd won 2 of the 6 races, I think that would be impressive. I think he'd be happy. The fact that he's got 6 out of 6 is an amazing achievement. We're still waiting for drivers to come in for a chat. What's going on? Why don't they like us, Aaron? They... everyone can have a chat. It's not just, you know, the winners. Everyone can join the Discord and have a chat with us post-race. But yeah, well, we are running out of time. Yeah, in the Pro-Ams, at least, let's talk about that. I got Cross winning out on that one, Aaron. A driver who's sort of under the radar occasionally, but I think Kos will now be leading the championship. As in fact, actually, we have a chat. We have a chat with Gabriel Salomon, who has now made it 6 from 6 this season in an incredible record. Gabriel, congratulations! It is an incredible record that you're putting together. We said it at the end of last round, and you adding it to it at each meeting is even more impressive. Let's take us back to the heat and an epic battle with Nicholas Nolda. I was saying how I think that was pretty much when you won the meeting, because once you got into the lead of your heat, it looked like no one was going to pass you.
Yeah, no, like the pass that I did, I was kind of, you know, in my head up to the corner. I was like do's and don'ts, and I was like, fuck it, I might as well try, and it worked out. But saying that no one was able to keep up with me, I don't think that's true. Nold was up my rear bumper all the time, and at the last lap when he was going for a dive around the outside, I was an idiot, and I locked up my brakes, and I'm super sorry to Nold because that was all my fault. Yeah, I'm super sorry that, you know, a really good heat with really good battles ended that way.
Yeah, well, it was an amazing battle between you guys in that race, and then in the A final, how was there a moment where you thought you might get hit on lap 1, because of course the second and third drivers crashed to one another, and you were only a few meters clear from being taken out yourself?
Yeah, you know, I you know, broke the car. Well, yeah, I was braking to the corner like I normally do, and then I just heard tire squealing, and I look in my rearview mirror and I see Nold and Pennington like storming towards me. But as you say, I was just clear. So yeah, yeah, I was definitely a bit worried that I'd be taken out.
And we head to Road Atlanta in a couple of weeks' time. I mean, we have a week break. What are you planning on doing with that week break? Do you have any real-life racing? Are you going to be taking a break from the sim? Are you just going to be continuing to race? Any new content that you're excited about?
Honestly, I think from the first round of this league, where it went that super well, I kind of made a decision that I'm pretty much only going to be driving the Porsche Cup car, and I am going to be taking a bit of a break from the sim because after the last 2 rounds, last Tuesday, my left arm was hurting a lot, and it has been ever since. So right before the race, I went up and took some painkillers, so I wouldn't really feel it in the race. So I'm definitely going to take a little break.
Well, that I think sounds like a good idea, and we promise not to do any drugs tests. We won't be challenging exactly what those painkillers were, because it seemed to help your performance a lot out there tonight, Gabriel. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course my team, Oatson Motorsports once again. Yeah, honestly, I'm so happy to be there. Amazing people, amazing community. Also just the teamwork that we have, the fun times that we have, and the way that we're able to practice together. So we all, gain that speed for all the races. It means a lot. And it's definitely helped me out here also beating Michael Yanni, which is something that I never thought I'd be able to say. I'm over the moon.
You absolutely should be. Continue up the good work, Gabriel, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. See you guys.
Gabriel Salomon there, your race winner. Yeah, that pretty much wraps us up then for this evening. Thank you very much for tuning in. Very good viewing figures, and it demonstrates just how entertaining this series is when we have so many people watching along every single week, and any drivers watching back as well. Thank you very much for making such an entertaining race for us, and making it a very strong first third to the season. We have got a week break next week, but of course we will be back at Road Atlanta, and also round 5 of the championship as well later on in the year before the winter break, and then many more rounds in the new year. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel as well, check out our social medias. That's both Apex Racing TV and Apex Racing League on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to VRS, SDK Gaming and Apex Racing Academy as well for making this broadcast possible. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith and from Joshua Wilkie, we will say goodbye, and we'll see you back in a fortnight's time at Road Atlanta. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.